What would you do if you woke up as the lord of 3 broken huts and a glowing dinner plate? Not a hero, not a chosen warrior, just a regular guy who was sweating through a blackout and suddenly found himself in a fantasy world with a cheat code nobody bothered to explain. His name is Xiauan, and 1 second he is cursing his landlord's ancient wiring in a heat wave, and the next second, white light, lights out, and he is face down in a bush surrounded by creepy tall trees and sad little grass huts. No air conditioning, no apartment, no explanation, just a robot voice in his skull announcing, "Lord Trial begin. Welcome to the land of divine grace." A world where Xiauan has been dropped into the role of Lord in training, tasked with babysitting a glowing stone altar for 30 days. Before something called bad happens to him. Nobody defines what bad means. His gut says it means dead. He takes a look at his new kingdom, 3 broken huts and a mystical altar. Inspiring real estate, truly. But Xiauan is nothing if not practical, and step 1 of being a lord is simple. Get some troops. He walks up to the altar. It lights up like a slot machine, and out pop 5 militia. 5 guys holding wooden spears, dressed in what can only be described as peasant chic. Still, 5 ragged dudes with pointy sticks is 5 more bodyguards than he had 10 minutes ago. So he takes it. He checks their stats. 1 star. Common quality. Skills, none. Talents, none. Basically animated cardboard cutouts who would freeze like a crashed computer the moment given a task with more than 1 step. And they forget everything they learn every single night. Groundhog Day, but with spears. Xiauan pokes around his system menu and finds exactly 2 options, personal info and chat. He opens the chat tab, expecting something useful, and is immediately greeted by total stranger chaos. Someone demanding to know if this is still Earth. Someone else offering $1 million to whoever gets them home. One guy claiming to literally be the first emperor of China and asking for donations. Another poor soul reporting that his starter troops are skeletons who smell like his grandmother. Someone else got goblins that reek so badly he can smell them from across the yard. One unlucky lord somehow ended up with slimes, bouncy, useless, adorable, completely doomed, compared to skeletons and stinky goblins. Xiauan decides that 5 plain militia is actually a respectable starting hand. He checks his personal stats and fixes the first problem immediately. His territory has no name. He names it Xiauan because he is destined for the stars and the sea. Or at least that is what he tells himself. Then he spots something that makes him forget everything else entirely. A special talent listed under his name, Power of Evolution. He can upgrade his troops like a mobile game, except the microtransactions are free. He has exactly 1 point for human units sitting there, waiting to be used. Xiauan nearly loses his mind. This is a cheat code. The universe finally threw him a bone after ruining his air conditioning. He activates it immediately because patience is for people who did not just get dropped into a fantasy world. A white glow rolls across his hand, and little number 1s float above each militia's head like a software update notification. He walks toward 1 soldier, reaches out, and the glow leaps onto the man before he even makes contact. The militia grows taller, broader, upgrades his rags into actual leather armor, and swaps his stick for a real iron spear. The system pings, militia, 1 star, evolved into spearman, to star. And then the newly evolved soldier looks down at his own hands like someone who just discovered he has ABS. He looks at Xiauan and says, slowly and carefully, "Lord." 1 word, choppy, but it is the most encouraging word Xiauan has heard since arriving in this world. Testing shows this spearman completely outclasses regular militia in strength, speed, and general usefulness. He learns commands after 1 try instead of forgetting them like his still vacant-eyed companions. His new skill is called thrust. Very creative, very stabby. Feeling like a proud parent, Xiauan takes the squad into the tree line for a field test. He sends a regular militia to attack a nearby tree with everything he has got. After several hits, the tree has a few sad scratches, groundbreaking science. Then the spearman steps up, spear raised, ready to demolish this innocent tree, and freezes completely. He turns to Xiauan and stammers that he does not actually know how to use the skill. He apparently already has. Cool, cool, cool. Xiauan stares at his own very confused face reflected in this situation and realizes something. Humbling. He does not know how to teach it either. Nobody handed him a manual. To idiots and a tree, staring at each other in mutual confusion. Eventually, Xiauan does the only thing a great leader can do with zero actual information. He hypes the soldier up with pure motivational energy and absolutely no technical guidance whatsoever. You are a mature spearman now. You have got this, champ. Believe in yourself. The soldier lights up like he just received a divine blessing and goes back to poking the tree. Turns out skills in this world are not unlocked and go like a simple game. They require trial and error, like a caveman discovering fire. Xiauan goes to check the group chat instead, because that is what excellent leadership looks like. 10 minutes later, a loud crack splits the air. He looks up just in time to see his spearman glowing with pale blue energy, spear raised, driving a clean hole through the tree like it is made of paper. The power, Xiauan screams, very professionally. The spearman, still catching his breath, looks at the hole and says, "Lord, can still improve. Show off." Xiauan loves it immediately. He decides the soldier deserves a real name and goes through several genuinely terrible options out loud while the poor man just watches. Spear 1. To basic, see a spear, missing something, then inspiration strikes. Ancient legends, Xiauan announces dramatically to absolutely nobody. Say spearmen have the luck of Xiauan himself. So he swaps one letter, makes it totally legally distinct, and names his first evolved soldier Xiauan. The soldier catches his new name, bows immediately, and says thank you, Lord, with more dignity than the naming ceremony deserved. A star is born. Xiauan puts Xiauan and the militia on lumberjack duty, since someone already destroyed a perfectly good tree. Meanwhile, he supervises from a distance, because name one successful lord in history who personally swings an axe. He checks the chat again and finds the first signs of collective panic. Giant red-eyed spiders reported outside someone's territory. Multiple people suggesting self-destructing their own altar if things get too bad. Xiauan makes a mental note if his area turns out to be a spider pit. He is absolutely rage-quitting his own kingdom too. He closes the chat right as a massive crash echoes behind him. His boys finish chopping the tree. He praises them, tells them to rest, and that is exactly when he spots something creeping out of the tree line. Short, green, ugly, a pack of goblins moving directly toward his territory. Everyone up, Xiauan screams from a very safe distance in his most heroic possible voice. Xiauan snaps into battle stance and immediately tries to charge directly into the enemy. Like an action hero, Xiauan grabs him. Wait, rule number 1. Know your enemy before you fight. Scout first, then decide. He lets go, confident his wisdom has been absorbed. It has. 10 goblins, slightly above starting troop level, held back by the 24-hour newbie protection barrier around his territory. Xiauan explains the advantage with the patience of a man who has played enough strategy games to know exactly how to use an invisible wall. Stand inside the barrier. You have a long spear. Poke them from safety. Xiauan's eyes go wide. Understood, he says, actually understanding this time. Xiauan retreats further back because he did not survive a heat wave blackout just to get goblin mob on day 1. The first goblin charges the barrier and slams face first into an invisible wall, like a bug hitting a windshield. Another swings its club and gets launched backward like it insulted someone's mother. The rest stand there trying to process what physics just did to them. Xiauan and the militia march to the barrier edge, spears ready, completely unbothered. Xiauan skewers the front goblin's skull clean through, to militia pairs pop to more heads. 3 goblins down before the enemy even understands the situation. The remaining goblins snap out of confusion and fight back for real. But the barrier keeps turning their clubs into comedy. Xiauan does hit and run like he invented it, reaching out, finishing a wounded goblin, hopping back to safety. Xiauan keeps barking simple orders because his militia are exactly as tactical as a brick wall. But somehow it works. One by one, the goblin squad thins out until they finally realize this fight is not going their way and start running. Do not let them escape, Xiauan screams. Way too invested for a man standing safely behind 6 other people. Xiauan goes full anim protagonist mode, and between him and the militia cleanup crew, all 10 goblins end up as fertilizer. Combat over. Xiauan strolls out like he did something, staring at 10 dead goblins with mild disgust at the smell. The loot starts glowing out of the corpses. Small glowing crumbs called soul crystal dust, the currency of this entire world. And 1 jackpot drop, a recruitment spirit orb, a free random unit, no questions asked. First fight. already pulling main character loot. He slaps the orb onto the altar, crosses his fingers, and prays out loud for literally anything except another goblin. Out comes a skeleton soldier, small, bony, holding a rusty sword like it borrowed it from a pawn shop. Free unit is free unit. Xiauan evolves him immediately with a fresh undead evolution point. The skeleton upgrades into a full skeleton warrior, taller, armored, and equipped with a skill called Chop, riveting poetry. He names him Ming Hai, combining the words for bone and underworld into something. That sounds considerably cooler than it has any right to. Since Ming Hai is fresh and clueless, Xiauan assigns Xiauan to teach him the skill. Watching a soldier who stutters try to teach sign language to a skeleton who cannot talk is possibly the funniest thing that has happened since the heat wave. 10 minutes later, crack, a tree gets sliced clean in half. Xiauan is practically glowing with pride, patting Ming Hai on the shoulder. Ming Hai clacks his jaw back like the world's happiest skeleton. Somehow, this bag of bones has more personality than most human Xiauan has ever met. He hands Xiauan soul dust to start leveling up, then sets Ming Hai on lumberjack duty because skeletons do not get tired, do not eat, and basically never stop. Xiaowan's brain immediately starts scheming about a free labor skeleton economy, before catching himself mid-thought and deciding that path leads somewhere morally questionable. 2 hours later, Xiauan levels up, small stat boost. Nothing like evolution, but progress is progress. Xiauan also cracks the mystery of how evolution points accumulate, roughly 0.1 points every 2 hours per unit. Knowledge is power. He evolves another militia into a spearman, but this new one is noticeably slower and duller compared to Xiauan and Ming Hai, which raises an interesting question. Is Xiauan just unusually gifted, or is average intelligence after evolution actually the norm? Mysteries for another day. The squad heads out exploring in 3 directions. West brings a fruit grove and a surprise ambush from a black jackal, dispatched before Xiauan finishes panicking. South has wolves too strong to bother with right now. He wisely decides not to poke that particular pack. East is an absolute nightmare zone, monsters that fight to the death instead of retreating. To rough encounters, troops banged up. Xiauan calls a retreat before something important gets eaten, because if his army wipes, the guy hiding behind them is completely alone in a haunted forest. Hard pass. Back at base, he splits the day's dust haul, patches up his troops, and feeds more into Xiauan and Ming Hai for leveling. Dusk creeps in. Xiauan attempts to cook some black jackal meat and realizes he has no fire. He also decides that lighting a fire at night in an unknown world is basically sending every monster in a 5-mile radius a personal dinner invitation where he is the main course. So it is raw fruit for everyone, living the dream. Before the sun fully disappears, he rushes the squad to the fruit grove for one last supply run. Coming back, he notices something wild about the sky above. 2 moons. One of them an off-color he cannot quite name. Weird planet, sure, why not? Instead of sleeping right away, he puts his troops to work digging a shallow ditch around the base and lining it with sharpened stakes. The safety barrier disappears soon, and he refuses to wait around unprotected like a fool. Then everyone rests except Ming Hai, who takes guard duty permanently because skeletons simply do not sleep. Xiauan claims the best hut for himself and declares it the Lord's Manor, even though it is really just a slightly bigger shack with better bragging rights. He peeks at the chat one last time, sees nothing but doom and gloom, and shuts it immediately. Nothing productive comes from doom scrolling in a fantasy apocalypse. Lights out. What he does not know is that the moment he falls asleep, Xiauan sneaks out to chat with Ming Hai like a pair of gossiping roommates, and then both of them spend the rest of the night quietly grinding levels in the dark, like try-hard gamers who skip sleep for experience points. Morning arrives. Xiauan wakes up genuinely refreshed for the first time since this whole disaster started. He walks outside to find Ming Hai and the newest spearman drilling on a log, with Xiauan supervising like a proud drill sergeant. His 3 original militias stand nearby looking as useful as decorative lawn ornaments. Future general, secretly training and teaching others while the boss slept. What a guy. Xiauan checks his evolution points, humans sitting at 4.5, undead crawling at 0.8. He does the napkin math, confirms the 0-point-1- per unit- every -to- hours rate like clockwork, and nods to himself with deep satisfaction. Knowledge is power, baby. He decides to hold evolution points for Xiauan rather than spreading them thin across random militia. Priority: turn his best unit into an unstoppable killing machine first. Worry about the rest later. With protection time running low, Xiauan scouts north for the first time, heading out with the squad for a quick pep talk. Ambush when you can. If the enemy is too strong, survival comes first. No heroics, no charging in like idiots. We survive. We thrive. He admits half that speech was for himself. Xiauan says, understood. Ming Hai goes clack clack, which Xiauan has decided means agreement. These to have officially been fully converted into his survive first, ask questions later philosophy. They spot a wolf pack, file it away for later, and keep moving. Then they stumble onto a mysterious cave entrance in a dirt mound. That looks suspiciously like a mine. Very tempting. Very also how side characters die in Chapter 1. After way too much internal debate, Xiauan chickens out and marks the location for later. Baby steps. Then, the beautiful sound of running water. A river, real, drinkable, not fruit-based hydration. Xiauan nearly cries. He faceplants straight into the river and drinks like a man who just crossed the desert. Then, since he has not bathed since arriving and qualifies as a biohazard, he hops in for a full rinse and tells the troops to do the same. Right as he is feeling refreshed and vaguely optimistic about life, a massive brown bear charges out of the tree straight at them. Level 5. 2-star quality, the biggest threat they have faced yet. Xiauan yanks his units in front of him with extremely strategic positioning. Definitely self-preservation, definitely not cowardice, and shouts a warning. Xiauan locks eyes on the bear. The math happens in Xiaowan's head. He worries for nothing. Xiauan strikes first, spear glowing straight through the bear's paw before it can swing. The second spearman follows up with another stab. Ming Hai swoops in with a clean chop that literally severs the bear's injured paw at the joint. The bear, now missing a hand and absolutely furious, swings wildly and gets dodged effortlessly every time. The militia stay benched because sending them against an enraged bear would just be expensive waste removal. Finally, the bear opens itself up for one clean shot, and Xiauan takes it, driving his spear straight through the eye socket and out the other side of the skull. The bear drops dead on the spot, a level 5, 2-star monster, taken down without losing a single unit in about 10 seconds. Xiauan stares at the dead bear, completely stunned, then immediately starts complimenting himself for picking such a great name. Xiauan, clearly, that name was destiny. The loot from this bear is genuinely incredible, not just dust, but a 2-star recruitment orb and an actual building blueprint for an arrow tower. Xiauan nearly does a victory dance right there in the woods and thanks the bear corpse. With complete sincerity, he promises the remains will be treated with the utmost respect. Translation: they are eating it tonight. On the way home, he swings by that wolf pack from earlier and cleans it up for good measure. Back at base, he tries to use the arrow tower blueprint immediately and it just says, cannot. Right now, mysterious system nonsense. He prods it several more times like an idiot mashing a broken vending machine before giving up. He drops his orbs into the altar and recruits another skeleton warrior, dumber than Ming Hai and with 0 skills, apparently needing more evolution points to finish forming properly. He hands this confused new skeleton off to Ming Hai for training. Skeleton bonding time. Truly wholesome. Meanwhile, Xiauan figures out how to start a fire from rubbing sticks together, like a genuine caveman, and they roast the bear meat. Bear paw, no seasoning, slightly under clean fur and all, and it still tastes incredible when you are starving. 10 out of 10. Ming Hai pouts at the fire until Xiauan caves and hands him a skewer, even knowing everything will fall right through his ribs. The happy little clacking noises the skeleton makes are almost worth the wasted meat. Once evolution points hit 5, Xiauan calls Xiauan over with a genius idea. What if units evolve without gear, letting him choose free equipment every time? He tests it. The system is not that easy to exploit. Removing gear just makes evolution cost more points. Devastating. His one shot at finding a bug goes up in smoke, so he lets Xiauan keep his gear and evolves him properly. Xiauan upgrades into a full elite spearman, chainmail, helmet, fancy decorated spear, the whole deal. And suddenly, he is not stuttering anymore, talking like a normal person for the first time. Leveling his intelligence apparently graduated him from barely functional to fully operating adult. He even learns a brand new skill almost instantly, some kind of launch into the air move. mastered in minutes. Just as testing wraps up, a system voice announces that the 24-hour protection period is officially over. Xiauan is told to check something called the territory heart back at his hut. Walking in, he finds a glowing white crystal floating in the air like it teleported in from a science fiction movie. He touches it, and a wall of information dumps into his brain at once. Apparently, there is a corrupting evil plant root spreading through the land, twisting monsters into mindless killing machines. His job is to find the one near his territory and wipe it out for rewards. He has read enough stories to know there is definitely some bigger villain behind all this, watching whoever clears the most of these things. But ignoring the corruption just means getting corrupted himself, so it is not exactly optional. Shaking off the creeping dread, he checks his territory stats instead. Population 0. 3 basic HUTS, a laundry list of upgrade requirements. Then he notices a little gold question mark in the corner and taps it. Something huge reveals itself. Territory size limits are gone, starting now, as long as he can hold it. Any patch of this entire world could belong to Xiauan. The system drops a full information dump about buildings, quality tiers, level caps, blueprints that are one-time use versus permanent unlocks. He reads it twice, itching to start building immediately. And then, right as he is about to get to it, another notification slaps him in the face. A territory leaderboard just dropped. Could you not just dump everything on me at once? He grumbles, already annoyed at how chatty the system is. He opens it anyway. Top spots go to names like Radiant Domain and Zuju's territory. His own Xiauan sits comfortably at rank 41. Meanwhile, some absolute legends name their kingdoms after memes, weird colors, and cringe-worthy early internet energy. Nobody can rename these kingdoms. Chat instantly becomes a support group for people who thought funny name now. No consequences later. Xiauan watches the chaos unfold with quiet dignity. He has, barely, some dignity left. Still, rank 41 with a literal cheat code and a 3-star uni tearing through bears like tissue. Paper bothers him. Turns out rank is not based on combat power at all. It is based on buildings and uni count. A spreadsheet flex, not a power flex. That relieves him deeply. For a second, he thought he was somehow mediocre. Couldn't be him. Feeling motivated, he builds a storage warehouse first since it is cheap and immediately useful. He sends skeletons and militia out logging and mining while his main duo handles other work. Watching Ming Hai casually one-shot a tree trunk, while a skillless skeleton struggles for a solid minute against the same tree, is genuinely the funniest thing he has seen all day. Materials roll in fast. Wood and stone are basically unlimited out here. The warehouse blueprint lights up and starts materializing on a timer, like a magical 3-dimensional printer, efficient. While that builds, he sends Xiauan, the second spearman, and the new skeleton out to sweep the area clean of monsters. Heavy emphasis on the order, be careful toward the east, do not be a hero. He keeps the militia home because they would just die running away, slower than whatever is chasing them. With nothing left to do personally, Xiauan plops down and opens the chat for entertainment. And the drama does not disappoint. People calling out haters now that building mechanics are confirmed real. Top lords revealing themselves one by one like some superhero unmasking scene. One dramatic guy interrupts everything, screaming that he is the real main character and everyone credited the wrong person. Chat immediately dogpiles him with apologies and fawning questions like he is royalty. Absolutely beautiful chaos. Out in the field, Xiauan spots wild boars and immediately starts thinking tactically instead of charging in like a caveman. He sends the second spearman out as bait to lure them in, while he and Skeleton to wait in ambush behind the trees. The boars take the bait, charge after the fake panicking decoy, and run directly into Xiauan's glowing spear. The seconds later, for boars, 0 injuries, under a minute. Xiauan's man is graduating from the school of cowardly tactics, and Xiauan could not be prouder. The arrow tower blueprint finally activates. This time it actually works. Xiauan plants it right behind his spike trap on the east side, feeds in the resources, and watches it snap into existence instantly. It auto-attacks within 100 meters and can be manually aimed if someone controls it. Arrows hit about as hard as the second spearman's regular skill. Solid, but every shot burns a replaceable arrow stock. Fantastic trade-offs all around. 2 hours later, the warehouse finishes with a neat trick where anything stored inside magically shrinks to save space, then pops back to full size on removal. Xiauan is genuinely impressed by basic warehouse technology in this world. Xiangyun's squad swings by to drop off loot, everyone completely unharmed. Xiauan lets himself relax about sending him out solo for the first time. They are already halfway done clearing the area. He feeds them fruit, sends them right back out, then goes through the full loot haul. A comfortable dust stash, 3 recruitment orbs, a building resource pouch that pops out random materials. Cracking the pouch nets iron ore and, more importantly, a crystal stone, which instantly explains how a show-off on the leaderboard. Already had a fancy production building this early. Sneaky shortcut, noted. Last item, an actual short sword. Simple, but solid. Xiauan gladly claims it since he currently has 0 ways to defend himself. Besides hiding behind other people and praying, he throws the 3 recruitment orbs into the altar and finally gets a variety: militia, skeleton, and a tiny fairy no bigger than a thumb with wings like a dragonfly. He nearly cries actual tears of joy that his altar is not secretly a skeleton vending machine after all. The fairy is a plant support unit, born to nurture greenery. He evolves her immediately with a fresh fairy evolution point, as she grows into a slightly more animated version of herself, buzzing around, making excited noises nobody can translate. She has a skill called pollen, which she naturally does not know how to use yet. Xiauan sends Ming-Hai to teach her, which goes about as well as expected between a skeleton clicking his jaw and a fairy squeaking nonsense at each other in mutual confusion. Turns out Ming-Hai can only communicate with Xiangyun because Xiangyun used to be human. Skeleton to fairy translation services simply do not exist here. She figures the skill out solo in under 20 minutes anyway, because apparently every unit Xiauan recruits is secretly a genius except his sad, stuttering backup spearman. He names her Hauling. Her pollen can slowly evolve plants and doubles as a mild sleep-inducing effect on living things. Though mild is generous, testing in on himself just makes him feel slightly drowsy. Instead of instantly passing out, she gets visibly sad about not being useful in a fight. So Xiauan quickly reassures her that combat is not her lane. Plant Karis, and he officially declares her the future manager of his fruit grove. Watching her mood flip back to cheerful buzzing honestly warms something in his calculating lowered heart. He quietly decides she is his new scout, that she is tiny, fast, and basically invisible to regular monsters, perfect recon material. But he keeps that plan to himself for now, and just enjoys watching her flutter happily in the sunlight. A guy is allowed a break. Then a bunch of kill notifications ping through his skull all at once. Goblins killed. Multiple. There is definitely a goblin nest hiding somewhere to the west. Great. East still not fully cleared. West now throwing goblins at him too. Getting sandwiched from both sides like a sad kingdom kebab. Xiangyun returns personally to report. The goblin group he just wiped was sneaking toward the base on purpose. This was not random. There is a whole nest out west looking for his missing squad members. Xiauan checks everyone. Minor scrapes only. Relief washes over him. Losing a unit right now would wreck his entire week. He hands out healing dust, orders rest, and plans to send them east once he can evolve one more spearman. Xiangyun, ever the overachiever, immediately starts absorbing dust to level up during his break instead of actually resting. This guy does not know how to chill. Xiauan upgrades another militia to spearman. Testing confirms something interesting. Xiangyun's freakishly high intelligence is the exception, not the rule. Xiangyun is just built different, apparently. He sends the healed 4-man squad east to keep clearing. Deciding the West Goblin nest can wait until tomorrow with more evolved units. Out in the field, Xiangyun's group finishes off a wolf pack and stumbles onto something bizarre sitting in the middle of the wolf den. A treasure chest. Just sitting there like it pays rent in a monster nest. Xiangyun tries picking it up. It refuses to budge, like it is glued directly into the ground. He tries opening it. No visible lock, but it refuses no matter what he tries, pulling, prying. Even stabbing it with his spear does absolutely nothing. A wooden box acting tougher than solid iron, officially spooked. Xiangyun abandons the mystery box and rushes back to report. Xiauan nearly has a heart attack seeing the squad walking drenched in blood. Until Xiangyun clarifies it is mostly monster blood, Xiauan remembers to breathe. A treasure chest that nobody can move or open. His brain immediately fires off every chest trope he has ever seen in any game or movie. He drops everything. Pulls Ming-Hai off logging duty. who has already cleared nearly 100 meters of forest solo, and stockpiled over 2,000 wood without resting once, and heads out with the whole crew. Absolute legend, that skeleton. He walks up to the chest. The moment he touches it, a message pops up asking if he wants to open it. Turns out it was locked specifically for a lord. Rookies cannot so much as scratch the surface. He opens it without hesitation. The chest dissolves into light, leaving behind a pile of goodies. The guaranteed skeleton recruitment orbs, a bathhouse blueprint, and a rare magic scroll. 2 more skeletons, of course. At this point, Xiauan is convinced he has some kind of cosmic bone-related destiny. The bathhouse blueprint is genuinely exciting. Real hygiene. Finally, instead of freezing in a river every time, he wants to feel human again. The scroll is a Wutam arcane shield, blocks attacks below a certain power threshold for 30 seconds, but only works on him personally. He would rather protect Xiauan with it, but free 30 seconds of not dying is nothing to complain about. Right as he tucks everything away, a whole new wolf pack shows up led by an actual alpha wolf. Convenient timing. Real convenient. Xiauan does the math and is not even slightly worried. He retreats behind his militia with extremely strategic positioning. Howling, however, immediately loses it, squeaking in terror and hiding directly behind his head like he is some kind of human bunker. He reassures her everything is fine, as she bravely peeks out just in time to watch Manhwa cave in a wolf skull from 3 feet away and gets sprayed with blood. She immediately dives back behind his head. Smart girl. The actual fight is less battle and more public execution. The alpha charges in howling like the main character and gets launched into the air by Xiauan's skill and impaled mid-flight before landing. With the boss dead in seconds, the pack collapses fast. Loot drops clean, plus another random recruitment orb. Xiauan hands out praise and leads everyone home for a well-earned break, then sends the squad back out to finish clearing the east with Manhwa added for speed. Howling, still shaking and inching away from Manhwa, is staying home. Scouting can wait. Traumatizing his ferry further cannot. He builds the bathhouse, tests it, and discovers it costs dust to run every half hour. A subscription fee in a fantasy world. Unbelievable. His brain immediately tries to scam the system. He fills a bucket with bathhouse water and walks out the door. Water vanishes the instant he steps outside. He tries again with a different container. Same result. He tries a 3rd time out of pure stubbornness. Same result. System 1. Xiauan 0. He pays his magical water bill like everyone else. He dumps recruitment orbs into the altar, adds more skeletons and militia, then treats himself to an actual bath for the first time since arriving in this world. Incredible. 10 out of 10. With the surrounding kilometer fully swept, Xiauan does one final paranoid lap just to be sure. Thorough guy. Xiauan appreciates that deeply. Back home, chat reveals some big-brain lord did actual statistics on recruitment patterns, low-tier orbs. Mostly spit out whatever unit type you already have. That finally explains the endless skeleton pipeline with almost painful clarity. Full loot check for the day. More dust, to more recruitment orbs. A resource pouch that drops a fire crystal and a regular crystal. Exactly what he needs to eventually upgrade the bathhouse. Except his base is not high enough level to use them yet. Filed for later. The orbs produce to more skeletons. His undead count officially matches his human count. He has made peace with it. Skeletons do not eat, do not sleep, do not complain. The ideal workforce. His little undead HR department is thriving. Dinner that night is dried beef for the humans. Fruit for Xiauan since he still will not risk a fire. And nothing for the skeletons who stand loyal guard without complaint. Even Holly gets in on it, happily hugging a fruit nearly her own size and nibbling away. He watches this and feels something surprisingly close to domestic contentment. He spends the evening evolving more units, distributing dust, bigger shares to stronger units, smaller shares to newer ones. By the time he finishes, his dust reserves are wiped out entirely. But that is exactly what dust is for. Morning of day 3, solid progress across the board. He checks the leaderboard out of curiosity, climbs a few spots, notices nothing dramatic. Then he gathers every unit above 2 stars and heads west himself, because he is the only one who can see enemy stats, making him the designated terrified scout, whether he likes it or not. The western stretch is oddly quiet, fewer monsters than expected, like the goblins already cleared the territory themselves. Before he can fully process that, he hears weird noises echoing through the trees. He creeps closer and spots them, a whole goblin war party, bigger and meaner than anything he has seen so far. A goblin warrior at the front, hyping up his troops like a very small, very ugly motivational coach. 15 goblins total, including rock-throwing specialists carrying baskets on their backs, all marching directly toward Xiauan. Not today. Xiauan and Ming Hai, he says from his very safe hiding spot, handle it. They sneak up from behind. His skeletons burst out first, chopping down goblins before anyone even notices. The boss roars, tries to rally, and Xiauan's crew flanks from the front. Spears already glowing. Leadership gets skewered before they can turn around. Total wipeout in under a minute. Loot is amazing. Tons of dust, recruitment orbs including a rare goblin-specific one, and then something that makes Xiauan nearly lose his mind entirely. Deeper in the western woods, guarded by a squad of napping goblins who look more interested in sleeping than defending anything. A 2-meter stone statue shaped like a giant scale. A random building hidden out in the wild. He has heard rumors of these in chat, but never actually seen one. The guard goblins are so relaxed that clearing them barely counts as a fight. He touches the statue and it reveals itself as the exchange scale, a structure that lets him trade any recruitment orb for a different amount of basic 1-star orbs, of a type he already owns. At first, it sounds like a downgrade machine, trading rare orbs down for common ones. But then it clicks. His evolution power does not care about starting quality. It only cares about quantity per unit type. This scale is not a downgrade machine for him. It is a jackpot dispenser. He can turn any fancy orb into a pile of basic recruits, then evolve them himself into whatever he wants. He tests it, trades his rare goblin orb and 3 skeleton orbs pop out. Best exchange rate he could have hoped for. Xiauan laughs out loud right there in the forest like an absolute maniac. An army just handed itself to him on a silver platter. But the goblin numbers just keep climbing the deeper they push, and his stomach twists. How big is the actual nest? He finds it, except it is not a nest. It is a full fortified camp fenced in with a massive crowd of goblins lounging outside. Too far to read stats, too dangerous to walk closer without knowing what he is dealing with. Holling, he says, I need your help. Fly over and scout the camp for me. She shakes her head immediately, terrified. Understandable given her track record with anything dangerous. But after a moment, she bravely agrees. That is my girl, Xiauan says, genuinely proud. He does not like forcing anyone to do something they dread. Her willingness means something real. She flutters off toward the camp, while she scouts. Xiauan notices something that gives him a small existential pause. The smarter his units get through evolution, the more personality and free will they develop alongside the power, which is great for combat, but opens the door to units, eventually having their own opinions about things, a problem for future Xiauan. Present Xiauan has a war party to plan. Holling returns, clearly proud of herself despite messing up the count multiple times with her tiny fairy fingers. She tries explaining through gestures, and Xiauan is hopelessly lost until Xiauan steps in and starts translating. Turns out Xiauan can partially understand her, which shocks both him and Holling equally. She lights up immediately at finally being understood through a middleman. The count, roughly 40 goblins, some elite warriors and rock throwers mixed in, plus a couple of HUTS. She did not dare get closer. Xiauan reassures her she did great just for getting that far. Her whole face lights up with relief and pride. Little fairy, braver than she gives herself credit for. Xiauan does the math. 40 goblins, warriors, rock throwers. Possibly something scarier in those HUTS, charging straight in his suicide. Plan B bait a few out at a time and pick them off in small groups. Divide and conquer, courtesy of every strategy game he has ever played. But first, patience. He holds off attacking until he can evolve one more spearman and push Ming Hai further. Why fight at 80% strength when you can fight at 100? He swings back to base, does a quick safety check, recruits his exchange skeletons and militia, and heads back out to quietly thin goblin patrols while his evolution points tick up. Eventually, human points hit 5. The second spearman gets promoted to elite tier, though unlike Xiauan, still barely managing full sentences. Midday, undead points catch up. Ming Hai gets the elite treatment. Real armor this time instead of relying purely on being made of bone. He pats his new gear like a kid showing off a new jacket. Turns out he has been quietly jealous of Xiang Yun's armor this entire time. Adorable little bone man. His new skill, a spin attack that hits everything around him. Simple, brutal, effective. After a quick rest, it is go time. Step 1 of the bait plan begins. Howling flies toward the camp, catches the attention of bored goblins, and then Ming Hai drops from above with his spin move, taking out 6 heads in one clean rotation. Brutal, extremely satisfying, way easier than Xiauan expected. Round 2, more goblins, wipe just as cleanly. Round 3 goes smooth, but then round 4 goes completely sideways. A fireball comes flying out of nowhere, aimed directly at Howling. She barely dodges in time. A whole squad led by a menacing red-skinned goblin reveals itself and starts pelting her with rocks and fire like she personally offended their entire bloodline. She narrowly escapes every throw, but the entire camp has just gone into full alert mode and is charging after her in one giant mob. Watching from a distance, Xiaowan's stomach drops. He cannot tell exactly what is happening to her, only that a small army is now sprinting through the woods with murder on their minds. 2 options: cut losses and retreat, or throw everything into the fight right now before things get worse. He makes the call fast. Screw it. Charge. 20-something goblins, half weak, against 3 elite units and 6 mid-tier fighters who mostly know actual skills. He does not love the odds, but he likes them enough. Xiang Yun leads, Ming Hai right behind him. Then he finally gets a good look at the red goblin. Level 7. 3-star quality. The exact kind of threat he was quietly hoping would not show up. Still only 1 3-star unit in the whole horde. Somewhat comforting given he has 3 of his own on the field. The fight turns messy fast. Fireballs exploding everywhere, rocks flying. His squad ducking through chaos. Xiang Yun pushes toward the fire goblin directly, but the guy is too well guarded. Warriors and rock throwers keeping everyone back. Ming Hai jumps in to help split the pressure, but even together they cannot quite break through yet. Howling finally reaches Xiauan, practically crying with relief. He scoops her up and quietly promises himself, after this, no more combat recon for her. Fruit grows and flowers only from now on. She has earned it. The second spearman focuses on shutting down the rock throwers instead of getting greedy and splitting attention. A rock clips him off guard, cracking against his chest armor. He shakes it off and makes it his personal mission. The unlucky backup skeleton does not get so lucky. A rock shatters his shoulder joint and drops his arm to the ground. A second rock smashes his knee and he goes down. A goblin moves in for the kill, but the other skeleton is not having it. Eyes blazing, he charges in and splits the attacker's skull open, then plants himself protectively in front of his fallen comrade, holding the line, refusing to move. The second spearman breaks through to a rock thrower and drives his spear through the goblins, stacked behind each other in one clean thrust. No celebration, straight onto the next target. Ming Hai grows increasingly frustrated that he and Xiang Yun cannot get close to the fire goblin. Then Xiang Yun calls out for a distraction, and Ming Hai does not hesitate for a single second. He charges straight into the danger zone, drawing every fireball and rock in the vicinity onto himself. One explosion sends him flying backward through the air, but that opening is all Xiang Yun needs. He leaps, channels every bit of learned energy into the spear tip, and hurls the weapon like a javelin, glowing blade and all, keeping its power, even after it leaves his hand. It punches clean through the fire goblin's chest before the thing even registers what is happening. With their leader dead, the remaining goblins lose their nerve instantly. Ming Hai, still smoking from the earlier blast, gets back up laughing his bone-rattling laugh at watching that red menace finally drop. The panicking goblins try to flee. Ming Hai and Xiang Yun cut them down before they get to steps. Minor injuries across the board. Xiang Yun completely unscathed as usual. Only the backup skeleton seriously hurt, and evolution will fix him right up. Ming Hai stares at his fallen bony comrade with something he probably did not know. He was capable of feeling some mix of concern and something quieter. Xiauan reassures him that evolving the injured skeleton will heal everything completely. Joking, he nudges Ming Hai about maybe someday learning a resurrection skill so injured skeletons could just pop back to life on the spot. He notices Ming Hai quietly filing that idea away with far more seriousness than the joke deserved. Curious about Xiang Yun's throwing spear trick, Xiauan asks for the full explanation. Turns out it is a natural extension of energy control. Basic stuff apparently if you are built differently. He asks if Xiauan can teach it. Yes, but it depends on the individual and takes time. Fair enough. The loot pile from the whole operation is genuinely incredible. Huge amounts of dust, multiple recruitment orbs, resource pouches, and the brand new blueprints. A public restroom, which might be the single most exciting piece of infrastructure he has unlocked so far, and a farmland plot blueprint that only costs dust to create. Walking into the goblin camp afterward, he finds it honestly more put together than his own base. Which, fair, his is basically 3 huts and vibes at this point. And then something catches his eye and his stomach drops a little. A lord's altar, broken almost completely apart, sitting in the middle of the goblin camp. This whole camp used to be someone else's territory. There was a lord here before him, and judging by the wear, they have been gone a long time. He does not love thinking about what that implies for their fate. He tests the broken altar just in case. Completely dead. Just fancy rubble. He has Ming Hai's squad haul it home anyway, because maybe someone smarter can figure out a use for it later. The huts turn up something useful. A wooden box. A mysterious white fruit with blue markings he has never seen before. And over 20 more of the same fruit inside. He makes Xiauan try one as a guinea pig. Report. Bland taste. But insanely filling. Enough to cover an entire day's food needs in one bite. Perfect timing. Feeding his growing human squad was starting to worry him. Deeper in the hut, a mysterious document in a language nobody can read, and a pouch of seeds for this new fruit, fast growing, ready into weeks with farmland, which he conveniently just unlocked the blueprint for. Coincidence? He refuses to believe it. Clearly the universe has decided he is secretly the chosen one. Back at the exchange scale, he trades everything. His rare fire goblin orb goes straight into skeleton orbs. Since food security matters more than flexing a fancy unit he does not even want. Turns out 3-star trades only net 6 basic orbs, rip-off compared to 2-star raids. He mentally notes never to trade above 2-star again unless he genuinely does not want it. Back at camp, he sends Xiauan's squad out for final goblin cleanup, hands out fruit rations, and lets Ming Hai personally haul the loot box home solo. Ming Hai insists on doing it himself, taking great pride in his own strength these days. Adorable. At the altar, a wave of new skeletons, militia, and fairies pop out in rapid succession. Holly gets ridiculously excited seeing another fairy arrive and immediately tries to chat her up, only to get total silence since baby fairies need to evolve before they can even talk. His last batch of random orbs produce 1 militia and 3 more fairies. 3 fairies. He does not need 3 fairies. What is he running here? A magical garden convention still. Extra bodies mean faster fairy evolution points. Silver lining. He tests the public restroom blueprint. 1 placement and material dump later. Real bathroom. Real plumbing. Running on a tiny dust fee per use. Auto cleaning. Toilet paper. Rough paper. Sure. But compared to leaves, it might as well be silk. He stands in the doorway admiring his new favorite building a little too long. Before finally heading out, he takes the rest to the fruit grove to set up the farm. Trees block the planting spot at first, so he sends Ming Hai's crew to clear space without touching the fruit trees. Once clear, the farmland builds properly and a growth speed bonus kicks in immediately. He hands seeds to the militia, expecting the usual blank stares, and instead they instantly become competent little farmers, like they have done this their whole lives. He genuinely does not understand how their brains work sometimes, but he is not complaining. A wooden fence goes up around the farm and grove. Hand-carved planks, nothing fancy. Good enough to keep casual wildlife out. Holly gets officially placed in charge of the whole agricultural operation. She briefly mouths something that looks suspiciously like, "Do I get to fight now?" And Xiauan has to laugh. Absolutely not. Combat is for Xiauan and Ming Hai. Her job is strictly plants and vibes. She drags her fairy squad off to their new garden kingdom, with pure delight buzzing in every wing beat. That evening, Xiauan returns reporting most western goblins handled. Final sweep needed tomorrow, but nothing urgent. 1 leftover orb into the altar for a fresh militia. Goblin orb saved for tomorrow's exchange run. Evolution points tick up through the night. Once undead points hit 6. Xiauan checks on his injured backup skeleton. His required evolution cost drops slightly from healing over time, confirming that evolution and recovery are linked, just as he theorized. Satisfied with his small scientific victory, he evolves the skeleton immediately. He comes out the other side as a full elite skeleton, completely healed, bones perfectly intact, and surprise, equipped with 2 skills instead of 0, matching Ming-Hai almost exactly. Ming-Hai stares at his healed comrade with something that is absolutely, unmistakably, genuine relief. Xiauan decides this is the most emotionally rich skeleton interaction he has ever witnessed, and carefully says nothing to spoil it. Testing confirms his theory. Evolution is not just growth, it is a full system reset. Skills, intelligence, injuries, all fixed in one glowing package deal. He briefly tries to logic out how that works before catching himself. He got dropped into a fantasy world with a magic upgrade button. Maybe do not overthink the mechanics. He saves his remaining human points for pushing Xiauan further, and does the math on fairy evolutions too before finally going to sleep. But nobody else sleeps tonight either, while Xiauan rests. Xiauan keeps teaching the throwing skill to his best students, discovering along the way that it requires a certain level of intelligence to learn, something his weaker to star troops simply do not have yet. Ming-Hai runs coordination drills with his skeleton squad, slowly wrangling his much larger army into actual formation, with Xiauan coaching from the sidelines. Then the two of them settle into their real passion project for the night, experimenting with their own energy techniques until something extraordinary happens. Xiauan discovers he can combine the separate attacks into one stronger burst. Brutal energy cost, barely enough for 3 uses before needing a recharge, but the damage is genuine. He shares the technique with Ming-Hai immediately. No ego, no hoarding secrets, just the units who are quietly becoming something much greater than their original stats ever suggested. Morning of day 4, both Xiauan and Ming-Hai hit level 6 overnight, faster than expected. Xiauan checks the leaderboard, half expecting a minor bump. 3rd place. He nearly does a victory lap around his own bedroom. He opens chat expecting congratulations and instead finds total chaos over something completely different. Apparently some big shot lord leaked a claim overnight. Leveling your territory to rank 2 unlocks a way back to Earth through the Lord's altar. His good mood evaporates. His hand starts shaking slightly as he scrolls through message after message of people debating whether it is true. He checks his own progress toward rank 2. Dust and uni count are the only things still missing, and barely at that. Materials are already stockpiled from the ruined village hall. Trying to steady himself, he heads out to evolve Ming-Hai. His undead evolution points are stacked and ready. Finding him mid-conversation with Xiauan, Xiauan cannot resist hamming it up a little. He clears his throat, straightens his rumpled clothes, puts on his best noble lord voice, and announces that in recognition of outstanding service and countless kills, he hereby grants evolution. Ming-Hai clearly does not understand half of what was just said, but the word evolution registers loud and clear right before the glow takes him. He comes out slightly upgraded rather than fully transformed. Better gear, sharper weapon, now officially rare tier with a new charging skill that lets him rush and stun enemies. Testing shows his raw power roughly doubled again, enough to give Xiauan a real fight in sparring. Absolutely wild considering where this skeleton started as a random 1-star pull. After breakfast, Xiauan sends both lieutenants out on separate sweeps, then sits back to properly test his new toy for the first time in daylight. He sends Ingu, the Hawk Scout, out east, watching through the observation stone as the daytime view comes in crystal clear, mostly just endless trees. Then he spots Ming-Hai's squad marching below, and Ming-Hai suddenly senses he is being watched. He stops his whole group, scans the area in alarm, eventually spots Ingu circling overhead, and relaxes the moment he sees the tracking mark on her forehead, realizing Xiauan is basically watching him through a magical security camera. Ming-Hai's confused little moment is the highlight of the entire morning. Ingu keeps flying. The trees below start thinning out fast, showing just how much damage the corruption is doing to the landscape. Then Ingu flies clean out of viewing range and the screen cuts to black. Xiauan nearly throws something. Turns out he badly underestimated how fast she actually is. Barely 10 minutes in, and she has already blown past his viewing radius without even trying, flying somewhere he cannot reach her until she wanders back on her own. He spends 20 agonizing minutes biting his nails. Before the observation stone flickers back to life, she made it back in one piece. He scolds her a little out of pure relief, rubbing her head, telling her she gave him a heart attack. After that he shortens her trips, and by midday, between her scouting runs and the stone. He has mapped a solid chunk of the area around his base. East is the nightmare zone. The other 3 directions are just endless forest with nothing openly dangerous lurking in view. Small mercies. Xiauan and Ming Hai return with a solid haul, and Xiauan immediately trades the orbs at the exchange scale for more skeletons. Finally crossing the population threshold he needed, he rushes to the territory heart and hits upgrade. Nothing flashy, just a plain notification, "Congratulations, you leveled up." Kind of anticlimactic for something he had been hyping up in his head all morning. The real change reveals itself at the Lord's Manor, upgrade cost showing 0. Like a loyalty reward. He does not question good fortune, he just takes it. The upgrade transforms his tiny wooden shack into an actual stone house with a real bedroom, living room, and hearth. Moving up in the world. He goes on a full upgrade spree, housing, storage, bathhouse with actual hot water. Arrow tower hits harder and farther, crop growth speeds up even more. With everything upgraded, there is only one thing left to check. He walks toward the Lord's altar, heart doing something strange. Honestly, his life back on Earth was not much. No job, no family left after the accident. He shakes off the sappy thoughts, steps onto the altar. A message pops up asking if he wants to travel to Earth with a dust cost attached. It is real. The rumor is actually real. He briefs Xiauan and Ming Hai before leaving, heading out briefly. Back by tomorrow morning at the latest. Territory is theirs to manage in the meantime. They nod along, confused about the logistics but trusting him completely anyway. He pays the dust and gets swallowed by silver light. The second he is gone, Ming Hai walks directly onto the altar himself just to see what happens. Nothing does. He stands there disappointed and confused. Of course he did. Xiauan lands back in his crappy apartment with the world spinning for a second. He pinches himself to confirm it is real. First order of business, shower and fresh clothes. Because his current outfit has survived multiple monster fights, campfires, and river baths and is held together by luck at this point. A system message explains the terms. 24 hours before being yanked back with penalties if he stalls. All system powers locked while on Earth. Just a regular unarmored, swordless guy again. 6 days passed here too, matching the other world exactly. Time flows the same on both sides. He checks his phone for messages. 0. Not a single soul noticed he vanished for 6 days. Kinda funny. Kinda depressing. Mostly just funny. He searches online for news about mass disappearances and finds total silence on the topic, which strikes him as far weirder than actual panic would have been. Then it clicks. Maybe it is filed under a completely different search term. He types in something related to the land of divine grace instead. Buried among gaming forums and fiction sites, one link stands out. He clicks it and the background image alone confirms everything. Slime, goblin, skeleton, militia. The exact same starting units he knows by heart. He is not the first wave. There were people before his group who already went through this entire ordeal. This also explains that broken altar in the goblin camp. Everything clicks into place at once. Getting into the forum requires answering a verification question. Only someone who has actually leveled up their territory could answer. He types it in without breaking a sweat. The information inside is incredible. Unity tiers, higher realms, buildings, skills, hidden zones. He devours every post like a starving man at a buffet. He is deep in reading when someone knocks on his door, making a terrible fake doorbell noise. He grabs a kitchen knife before cautiously answering. Standing there, a relaxed, slightly disheveled guy in his 30s, and right behind him, someone in full wizard robes with a pointed blue hat, looking exactly like something from a fantasy film. A unit, a real undeniable Lord-summoned unit standing casually in his apartment hallway. The guy introduces himself as Lugo, hands over a business card with basically zero information beyond a name and phone number, and politely invites himself in for a chat. Barely minutes after returning to Earth, another lord is already at his door. Xiauan lets them both inside, mildly baffled. Luke gets straight to business. He is also a lord, confirming there were groups before this one who already completed the trial. He notices the browser tab open on the forum and reassures Xiauan, becoming a full lord. Does not erase the system entirely, just strips away the tutorial conveniences. Then he drops the real reason for the visit. The summoning process apparently makes waves big enough for governments to notice. Countries have organized official coalitions of lords to manage the situation. Their version is called the Great Sea Alliance. The The summoning happens every 6 months. Xiauan's group is the 5th wave. Xiauan nods along, having already guessed some kind of official organization existed the moment he found that forum. He asks if Lu is here to recruit him. Lu laughs and gives the most unhelpful answer possible, yes and no. Membership requires actually finishing the trial first, which Xiauan clearly has not done yet. Lu's actual reason for showing up is to flex a little and offer a gentle warning. Fast-rising newcomers tend to develop main character syndrome once they get home, especially ones with money or connections. The Alliance sends people around to humble them early. Basically, do not get cocky, do not cause chaos, because cleanup duty for arrogant new lords gives everyone in the organization a headache twice a year. He admits Xiauan does not seem like the troublemaking type, so he skips the intimidation routine and just lays it out straight. Then, out of nowhere, he asks if Xiauan wants to join the Alliance anyway, despite everything he just said about requirements. Xiauan points out the contradiction. Lu explains, for fast climbers who are basically guaranteed to pass the trial, the entry bar gets lowered as long as they do not screw up along the way. Curious about the chosen one label Lu keeps throwing around, Xiauan asks what he means. Lu describes heroes who trip over treasure, fall into secret training manuals, always getting exactly what they need at exactly the right moment. People rocketing to power in days while everyone else grinds for months. Given that Xiauan hit level to territory with over 100 units inside a single week, he checks every box. He rubs the back of his neck awkwardly. His progress is not purely luck-based like Lu assumes, but it technically matches the pattern being described. Lu waves off the embarrassment and calls luck a form of strength in its own right, then encourages him to keep hunting treasure chests since that mechanic disappears entirely. Once the trial ends, he lays out the real options properly. Partner deeply with the Alliance and get rapid support in exchange for shared territory control, or go fully independent with baseline support including their information network. Without hesitating, Xiauan says he is in. Joining does not cost him much, no harsh restrictions, decent perks, and a safety net in case things go catastrophically wrong someday. Lu congratulates him in advance, treating his eventual success like a foregone conclusion, then asks which path, partnership or independence. Xiauan does not blink. Fully independent. Lu nods like he called it from the start. Apparently every chosen one type gives the exact same answer. He respects it even if it is not a path he personally could stomach. He gives one last serious warning. The independent path is the freest, but also the hardest. Many lords who choose it either quit or die along the way. Freedom out here is never truly free. Are you sure? He asks one more time. Xiauan tells him, without any doubt, that he is. Lu hops up the second he hears the confirmation, ready to head to the association office immediately. Faster paperwork means faster perks, and one less trip for him. Walking to his car, Xiauan notices something strange. Everyone they pass on the street completely ignores the wizard trailing behind them, like he is invisible. Lu waves it off as a minor trick, adds that Xiauan will understand it better once he has his homage-type units, and they keep moving. At the car, Xiauan asks why the wizard is not coming along. Lu just laughs, waves his hand, and the wizard vanishes instantly. On the drive over, Xiauan asks the question that has been nagging at him since the start. What happens to lords? Whose altars get destroyed, or who died during the trial? Lu's expression darkens for a second before he answers, death, straight up, no loopholes, no second chances, altar destroyed or killed by monsters, either way, just gone. Often without leaving a body behind, which apparently makes cleanup an absolute nightmare for people in his line of work. The association building turns out to look like a completely ordinary office building, which genuinely disappoints Xiauan until Lu reveals regular people are suddenly conditioned to ignore its existence entirely. That small detail makes it feel considerably cooler. Most staff are lords like Lu who chose the government partnership route, rotating shifts every month with free time on Earth between assignments. Lu himself is due to rotate out next week, which is exactly why he is annoyed about this visit. He had been planning to coast through his last easy week. He hands Xiauan a freshly printed sheet of paper, the official Great Sea Pact. Signing it makes him a member. Xiauan stares at this obviously just printed regular paper, and barely manages to hold back something sarcastic. Lu, reading his face perfectly, laughs and explains the logic. Contracts on Earth mean nothing to someone whose real stakes exist in another dimension. Lords who value freedom over bureaucracy get simplicity instead. A signature as proof of trust. It actually makes sense. Without a second thought, Xiauan signs his name on the sheet. Lu shakes his hand and officially welcomes him aboard, then admits there is nothing material the Alliance can send right now. Since Xiauan is not technically a lord yet, all he gets for now is access to their private forum, far more detailed than the public one he found earlier. Lu promises to send the link and invite code, then insists on getting Xiauan home instead of letting him manage it himself. Before Xiauan can wave him off, Lu snaps his fingers to summon the wizard again, saying he has got the fastest way home. A magic circle lights up under Xiaowan's feet, and the next thing he knows, he is sitting on the ground outside his own apartment door. Teleportation is real, apparently, which makes him wonder why they bothered driving to the office in the first place, instead of zapping there directly. Was that whole car ride some kind of deliberate show of resources? He suspects yes. Meanwhile, completely unaware of that suspicion, Lu is back at the office rubbing his temples because long-distance teleportation apparently costs a painful amount of energy. Xiauan is too hungry to care about any of that. He heads straight to the nearest restaurant and orders an embarrassing amount of stir-fry. He inhales it after days of dried meat and bland fruit. Real food has never tasted this good in his entire life. Walking home thoroughly stuffed, a notification pings, Lu apologizing for forgetting to send the forum link. He registers immediately upon arriving home. The difference in quality compared to the public forum is night and day, way more detailed, way more useful across the board. He dives in and stumbles across a post about unit self-awareness. That makes everything suddenly make sense. Low-tier units follow orders like machines. Mid-tier develop enough awareness for conversation. Top-tier units become fully self-aware, capable of learning and growing on their own. Chang Yun and Ming Hai, obviously top-tier, no question whatsoever. His evolution power cheats every unit into genius tier regardless of starting quality. He is out here handing free talent upgrades like a divine HR department. Then he finds the thread about the trial tournament happening on day 16, a mysterious event that has existed since the very first summoning wave. Purpose unknown even to the forums. Every lord in training across the entire planet competes against each other. Serious rewards on the line. First place, a hero recruitment token. Entry requires clearing your corruption route before day 16, and nobody actually dies during the matches, just competition, pure performance. His brain immediately goes quiet and confident. He could win that. Not arrogance, just a quiet acknowledgement that unless someone out there has an even more broken gift than his, nobody should be catching up to him at this stage. By the time he tears himself away from research, it is deep into the night. He grabs a big bowl of spicy hot pot skewers from the night market and heads home satisfied. Next morning, actual soft mattress, actual sunlight through actual windows. He deliberately layers on several extra outfits before heading out. According to the forum, you cannot bring items into the trial world, but clothing worn directly on your body slips through that restriction. Today he is dressing like an onion, so he never has to wear the same ragged outfit again. He touches the mark on his hand. Everything spins for a second and boom, he is back on the altar. No stumbling this time. Way smoother ride. Xiang Yun spots him right away and jogs over mid-training, ready to give a full report. Hold on, let me strip first, Xiauan says, ducking into his house to peel off 5 layers of clothing. Feels incredible to be down to 1 outfit again. Xiang Yun runs through everything with the precision of a general doubling as an accountant. Every unit fed, every dust spent, every resource used, down to the last detail. Xiauan is genuinely impressed. He also notices Ingu is missing and learns she is out flying with Holling riding on her back, which throws him completely since Holling was terrified of her just 2 days ago. Xiang Yun shrugs. Everyone gets along with him regardless, so he has never had to think about interpersonal dynamics. Xiauan decides not to question good vibes. Dust is running low. Makes sense since leveling costs scale up fast. He also learns skeletons need dust to sustain themselves too, just far less than humans. Undead are not perpetual motion machines after all. Quick math on drop rates reveals, at this pace, maybe 20 new units per day going forward, making his dream of 1,000 troops during the trial period look increasingly unlikely. He checks evolution points instead, which have grown enormously overnight, especially Undead. Still nowhere near what Ming Hai needs for his next jump. So he redirects everything into upgrading a large batch of lower-tier skeletons. His undead army is looking massive now. dozens of skeleton warriors, a handful of elites, even a few rare tier ones. He looks at this bone army with pure pride. Some little corruption root does not stand a chance against this. He calls Xiauan over, skips the theatrical speech this time, and hits him with evolution power straight. He comes out sharper, more decorated, practically radiating authority. And then something catches Xiauan's eye that has never happened before. A talent slot, filled in. Talents are supposed to be rare, reserved for legendary units or exceptional elites. Not something that appears this early with zero outside help, but there it is. Godlike comprehension. Xiauan stares at it for a long moment. Turns out his man was just built different all along. Always was scary smart even before this. He should not be shocked. He is shocked anyway. The talent means Xiauan understands literally anything almost instantly. Suddenly a lot of his past behavior makes complete sense. How he could always half understand Ming Hai and Hauling. Despite them speaking entirely different languages, now he understands them completely. He starts testing his limits immediately, manifesting raw energy directly from his palm, without needing to name skill first, something that used to require multiple steps. He even mentions that with stronger reserves, he could probably form energy wings and fly. Ambitious. Xiauan lets him work. Testing Xiauan against Ming Hai afterward is basically a one-sided showcase. Reach, tactical superiority, energy control. And now genius comprehension stacked together means Ming Hai simply cannot keep up. Ming Hai finally taps out, plopping down and waving his arms in surrender. Xiauan stands there looking thoroughly satisfied after yesterday's beatdown at the boss fight. My top general just became something else entirely, Xiauan thinks quietly. With the corruption root finally cleared on day 7, his army now genuinely formidable. Xiauan leads his forces into the final confrontation that everything has been building toward. The march is loud and confident. His skeleton legion tears through corrupted monsters in waves. Hyena brutes fall fast under group pressure. The loot pouring in with every kill is enough to fund the next stage of the army. Then he sees it, and immediately regrets every assumption he made about being ready. Standing guard over the corruption root, over a dozen hyena brutes, 3 of them full tier 2. A mess of 2-star monsters scattered around them, and behind all of it, towering at over the meters, jet black, unarmed, radiating menace even from a distance. Tiered to rare quality, the corruption guardian. His gut screams retreat, but they are already too loud, too visible. The horde has noticed them and started charging. Xiauan snaps into commander mode fast. Xiauan and Ming Hai on the big boss together. Elite skeletons in pairs against each tier 2 hyena. Everyone else handles the swarm. He grabs a shield, clutches the one-use magic scroll, and holds Ingu close as his last line of defense. Xiauan and Ming Hai bolt for the boss the moment the order leaves his mouth. No wasted words between them. Ming Hai crashes into the monster with his shield wrapped in dark energy, twists mid-charge to dodge a blood-red claw, and launches the thing airborne with a brutal uppercut. Xiauan leaps off Ming Hai's momentum, spear spinning with drilling energy, and skewers the beast clean through the chest mid-air. For 1 second, it looks over. Then the guardian gets back up, fully impaled, missing chunks of flesh and bone. Hole through its chest you could see daylight through, and it just keeps swinging, like it stubbed its toe. Both of them stare at this in genuine disbelief. They have seen corrupted monsters shrug off missing limbs before, but not this. Not surviving a hole through the heart. It lunges at Ming Hai, who barely gets his shield up in time. The impact sends him skidding back several feet, deep gouge torn through his prized armor. Furious, he fires back a slash of dark energy that gets shattered instantly by the boss's own crimson blast, which continues straight toward him without slowing. Xiauan calls it fast. Raw power is not winning this fight, even combined. Their output cannot match this thing, and it is getting stronger the longer the fight goes. He tells Ming Hai to hold the line while he thinks. Ming Hai steps up the pressure, drawing every attack onto himself, taking hits he would normally dodge, blocking with pure grit. And Xiauan's mind works. Remember that energy fusion test from last night? He asks, stepping back in to share the load. Ming Hai catches on instantly. He nearly wrecked his own weapon attempting it in training. But there is no better option. Xiauan holds his weapon out. Without a word, Ming Hai drops his sword, grabs the spear shaft, and starts channeling raw power while Xiauan handles control. With Xiauan fully focused on the fusion, Ming Hai faces the boss alone, eating hits he cannot fully avoid, blocking with what is left of his shield, barely holding on. Dark energy starts crawling up the shaft. The moment the two energies touch, they explode into violent friction, threatening to detonate right there in his hands. Xiauan forces himself calm, works to blend the volatile mix through sheer focus and the razor instincts his new talent gives him. Just keep the power flowing, he tells Minghai. Let me handle the rest. Another swipe tears into Minghai's shield. The impact rattles him to the bone. Almost there. Hold on, Xiauan calls out. Something in Minghai's soul fire flares back to life, giving him one last burst to endure. His shield does not get the same boost. The next strike shatters through it entirely, tearing apart both the shield and part of Minghai's own arm bones in the process. Painful, yes, for a skeleton, more inconvenience than fatal, but they are out of time. Pump everything you have into the fusion, Xiauan says. No holding back. The energies react violently, way beyond what can be managed anymore. Run now, he shouts. Minghai does not need telling twice. He can feel death radiating off the weapon. He lets go and sprints clear. The instant his hand leaves the shaft, Xiauan hurls the weapon straight at the boss using his throwing skill, grabs Minghai with a charge attack, and drags them both away from the blast zone. The Guardian does not dodge. It swings to meet the incoming weapon head-on. The moment contact happens, three swirling energies lose all stability and detonate in one massive explosion. The shockwave knocks both Xiauan and Minghai flat on their backs. Xiauan, watching from a distance, nearly has a heart attack, frantically checking his uni list to confirm they are both still alive. They are. When the smoke clears, a crater several meters wide sits where the Guardian used to stand, with pieces scattered across the clearing. Dead, extremely thoroughly dead. The remaining monsters lose cohesion without the boss driving them. Xiaowan's army mops up the last of them efficiently, and then it is quiet. He checks on his losses. 3 spearmen dead, 5 skeleton warriors gone, many more wounded. Small numbers in the grand scheme, but it never had to happen. He got cocky after easy wins and pushed too soon instead of waiting. He mutters this to himself quietly and means it. He gets everyone organized, sends healthy units to clear the field, and finally approaches the corruption root itself. Small, still young, just twisted red-black tendrils spreading unnatural energy into the ground. Studying it up close, a strange aggressive urge bubbles up inside him. Then the mark on his hand lights up and snuffs the feeling out instantly. Creepy. This thing messes with heads just by existing nearby. Not wanting to test that theory further, he holds the marked hand over the root and lets it activate. Warm golden light bursts out, wrapping around his hand and the corrupted plant. After about a minute, the whole thing dissolves into nothing, purified. Job done. Rewards drop immediately, soul crystal fragments, an exceptional tier resource dungeon token, a special hero trial certificate, and a tournament teleport scroll activating on day 16. The hero certificate. He already knows who gets this one. Xiauan, without question. The man woke up with a talent that should not exist at this stage. Saved the entire battle with an untested fusion technique, and did it all while dragging Minghai clear of a point-blank explosion. The loot haul from the battlefield is his biggest single collection yet. 9 recruitment orbs, mostly 2-star, 1 3-star from a corrupted monster, the first he has ever seen drop that high, plus a new blueprint, a thunder tower, the arrow tower's magic-based cousin, hitting enemies with lightning instead of arrows. He trades everything at the exchange scale on the way home, converts it into skeletons and militia, and watches his numbers climb towards something genuinely intimidating. Home again, he cracks open the dungeon token. A stone archway rises near the altar, covered in symbols, revealing itself as a soul dust dungeon that resets weekly. A resource dungeon where dust is the reward. One of the better possible outcomes, given that dust is both currency and fuel for everything he does. He sends Minghai in first with a small squad to confirm it is safe, then steps through himself. The corruption root is gone. His territory is safe. His army is the strongest it has ever been. And the tournament is 9 days away. That night, Xiauan sits outside his stone manor, two moons hanging in the sky above him, listening to the quiet sounds of his kingdom settling in for the night. Holling is asleep in the fairy garden with her squad curled up among the crops. The fairy's tiny lights dim one by one. Minghai stands at his post, head tilted slightly upward, watching the stars and turning over something Xiauan told him about maybe someday learning to bring the dead back. He has no idea if he is capable of something like that, but trusting his friend's belief in him is enough for now. So instead of spiraling over impossible questions, he gets back to basics, absorbing dust, healing up, growing stronger, because strength solves more problems than worrying ever will. He has learned that from watching his lord. Xiauan runs one final quiet patrol around the perimeter, checking every post, adjusting the guards who fell into lazy formation, and saying nothing to either of them except a small nod. He does not need to say more. They fix it immediately. Inside, Xiauan is doing math by firelight. Unit counts, evolution timelines, projected dust income, tournament strategy. He is not a warrior, not a general, not even particularly brave. He is the soft, breakable guy who hides behind his units and pays his magical water bill and names his skeleton like it is a person. But his territory is sitting at first place on a global leaderboard. His two lieutenants just detonated a corruption guardian with a technique they invented overnight. And his ferry is managing a fruit farm that feeds over 100 troops. This is what his cheat code actually looks like in practice, not flashy combos or legendary items, but a team of people and creatures who were written off as weak and are now becoming something the system never planned for. He closes his notes and leans back in his new stone chair. 9 days until the tournament. The actual land of divine grace waiting beyond the trial. A cave to the north he still has not explored. A mysterious language on a document nobody can read. A goblin presence 10 kilometers west that Holland spotted from the sky. Still out there. Still growing. And somewhere, watching whoever clears the most corruption roots. Something bigger than a guardian beast and bigger than a goblin camp is keeping score. He is well aware of all of it. He adds another log to the fire, watches it catch, and lets himself sit with something he has not felt in a long time. Not confidence exactly, something quieter than that. The feeling of a man who started with 3 broken huts and a glowing dinner plate, and is no longer the weakest thing in this forest. Tomorrow he will build more wall sections, evolve the next batch, send Dingo out for a longer scouting run, and figure out what that mysterious document is hiding. Tomorrow there will be more problems, better ones than today's. The kind that only show up when you have gotten strong enough to earn them. But tonight, for exactly 1 quiet hour before the routine starts again, Xiauan belongs entirely to him. Not because he was summoned here, not because the system handed him a talent, not because he got lucky with a wooden chest in a wolf den, but because he learned, 1 goblin patrol at a time, that surviving is not enough. Thriving is the point. Xiauan finishes his patrol and passes the manor window without stopping, already planning tomorrow's training drills. Minghai clacks once softly in the dark, a sound only Xiauan understands. And Xiauan clacks back without breaking stride. An entire conversation into clicks. A whole friendship compressed into something that does not need words anymore. Holland stirs in her sleep, curls tight around a sea pod, and keeps dreaming about whatever fairies dream about in a world full of monsters. Xiauan watches the fire burn low, then puts it out himself this time instead of letting it go. He walks to the window and looks out at Xiauan under the moons. Dozens of units asleep in their huts. Fields growing in the dark. A thunder tower humming quietly on the western edge. An arrow tower aimed east. A bathhouse with its tiny dust-powered water system ticking away somewhere underneath. A public restroom with actual toilet paper. The grave markers he placed himself for the 3 spearmen and 5 skeletons. Who did not make it home from the corruption route today? All of it his, all of it real. He exhales slowly. 6 days ago he was sweating in a broken apartment, cursing a landlord he would probably never see again, going nowhere in particular. Tonight he is a lord in first place on a global ranking, with a general who just manifested a godlike talent and a skeleton who is quietly figuring out how to raise the dead. He has no idea what comes next, the real world beyond the trial, the tournament, the cave, the goblins, whatever is watching from above. He is not ready for all of it. He knows that, but neither was he ready for any of this, and here he stands anyway. In a stone house he built himself, in a kingdom that started as 3 broken huts and a glowing dinner plate. Whatever comes next, he is going to find out.